Welcome to Nick Saban Jr. Sports Talk TV. Thank everybody for tuning in. Today we're going to talk a little Alabama football recruiting with my man Josh. So,
Yeah, what's up,
Josh,
man?
how's it going today, man?
It's going good, man.
Great, great. I know you got some good news on the recruiting trail. Most of these recruits, the ones that are committed, we should be familiar with right now. But we're going to talk about some people that's coming in to visit today. My man Josh got a lot to say. He knows a lot about them. So let's get into it today.
Yes, sir.
So first off, we're gonna start off with the quarterback position. We're very familiar with the quarterback position with the 2024 class, Julian saying. And so, what are your thoughts on my guy?
I'm really high on saying he's probably I'm probably as high as him on of any quarterback we've got since Bryce, even higher than guys like Ty, Milrow, Lonergan, and Holstein. He's that guy from California. It reminds me of Bryce. He's tall, lanky. He looks like he's put on some weight since his the end of his junior season, heading into his senior season. So I know he's got a real deep bag in arsenal. He's really athletic, can make some crazy throws that you wouldn't expect from most people. Yeah, and he just looks beyond his years. California football, depending on where you are, can be very good. And,
Yeah.
he's shown to be one of the best quarterbacks in the country, most places, including 247, as you have it up there, have him as the
Mm-hmm.
number two quarterback just behind Dylan Raiola, who is by far the consensus number one player in this class. And, Sayan's pretty much grabbed a hold of that second overall quarterback in the class, which isn't pretty bad. But, yeah, I'm really high on Sayan. I think he's going to be really one for the future.
Yeah. Um, I was saying something that they was saying that like he's probably one of the most quarterback ready kids out of high school right now that can step in, probably get right away playing time. One of the best signal callers that's out there say he's ready to basically come in and run an offense right now. That's what I'm hearing about this kid.
Yeah, and it looks like he's ready to go at Alabama. He's had a relationship with Tommy Reese before he even committed to Alabama when he was
Yeah,
recruited by Notre Dame, by Tommy Reese at Notre Dame. So, yeah, I think that dynamic's going to be really well. And then I think I don't know if he'll come in play right away as his freshman year because you don't know what's going to happen with Ty and
yes,
Jalen. And if it is a guy like Ty, I mean, he'd have one season if he were going to go pro after his junior year. So I don't think, I don't think expect him necessarily to play right away his
yeah,
freshman year, but I think he certainly does have the talent where if we needed him to play, he would be ready, kind of like Bryce did a few years ago. Not saying expect him to be Bryce Young, but he is a very talented player that reminds
exactly.
me of Bryce Young.
Got you. Yeah. So the next guy that we have on the list is I think Daniel Hill, running back.
Yes, sir.
So what do you know about him?
Yeah, so he's an uncommitted player. You're really going. He's listed as an athlete on most sites, but Alabama is recruiting him as a running back. What Alabama likes
Yeah,
about him, from what I've heard, is that he's one of those bigger style running backs. This year Alabama's got some physical runners, but they don't really have any guys that are like Najee Harris size, Derrick Henry size, Brian Robinson size. So that's what I think Alabama likes about Daniel Hill. He's really athletic. If you've seen any of his clips from the camps he's been at, he's over mossing people.
yeah,
Reminding me of Najee Harris. The catch Najee had against LSU in the clutch. So Daniel Hill, I mean, I think he's been trending to Alabama for a while. I've seen people put predictions in for South Carolina, but I think that may be a little premature because it looks like Alabama's pretty confident with him. And, pulling in a guy like Daniel Hill would be a very good running back. I don't think he's as highly ranked as Richard Young or Justice Haynes from last year, but that's the good thing about having two 5 stars basically from last year, and Richard Young and Justice Haynes, is that, you don't have to go out and get a 5-star the next year. Like, you're not desperate for a 5-star. Yeah, so Daniel Hill, he's listed at
yeah.
6'2", 220. So, I mean, that's a big body
Uh
running
huh.
back. And that's the other emphasis on Alabama's offense, is to return to a more physical style of offense, um, like ground and pound. And, I think Daniel Hill certainly fills that need that Alabama's looking for. out of the running back position in the 2024 cycle.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I was looking at his highlights. I'm like, this dude, this dude is nice. And at Alabama we use big, we can use big style running backs. We in the past we used them well. Like you said, put you in the mindset of like a Najee Harris, the way he can catch and out the backfield and everything, and very athletic, has wheels on him. I'm expecting him to do a lot of great things for Alabama.
Yeah, and he's a player out of Mississippi, and
Yeah,
Mississippi players, as we'll find out a little later. I don't think I put him on the list, but Kamarion Franklin, who's a defensive line man, he was just in Tuscaloosa the other day, and like Jaheim Otis was difficult to recruit because out of
yeah.
Mississippi they usually stay in state, and we somehow
Mm-hmm.
got Otis. Even even though he's committed for a while, it was down to the wire with Otis, and then last year with Centarian Perkins. That was one of the more interesting recruiting battles as like Centarian, Pete Golding posted that elephant emoji back in like the summer or whatever. And everyone was like, oh, he's flipping. Never happened. And then,
Never.
Centarian, I would have loved to have him because, his All-American performance was unreal. And I think he turned
Yes.
into a consensus 5-star. So, Mississippi recruiting will be tough, but I like where Alabama stands with Daniel Hill, and I think many other people that follow recruiting and cover it do too.
Hey, this what I like about the early recruitment, because some of these kids that are 3 stars are going to eventually turn into 4 stars. Some of these 4 stars are going to be ended up 5 stars. Hey, some of them turn into 5 stars at last minute at the Under Armour camps or at the All American camps. So this is what I like about this recruiting cycle. Like, it's so interesting to keep up with these guys since high school, man.
Yeah,
So
and I think one of those last year was
go
Yonze
ahead.
Pierre. I think when he committed to Alabama,
Yep.
he may have been, I don't even remember if he was a 4-star at the time of his commitment, but by the end of it, he's a 5-star, and he was tearing up the All-American game. So, recruitments can change, and these senior seasons are highly pivotal to their final ranking. But as Saban says, your ranking doesn't make who you become, but it just builds insight to what talent we are getting and how good they performed on a high school level.
Exactly. Speaking of Yas Pierre, I seen him play in their jamboree game last season before the season started. He's one of them kids that when he was on the field against 5A school, my old school, Rose County, he looked like a grown man amongst everybody else. You can tell he was a lot physical than everybody, more stronger than everybody. So, yeah,
Yeah,
I seen.
it runs in the genes. He's I think it's Courtney Upshaw's
Yes,
cousin. So I mean, you
yes.
know, if we can get that I mean, Courtney Upshaw's one of my favorite outside linebackers to ever play for
Hey,
Alabama. Just like
I got a I got a
he's just that
Courtney Upshaw
vintage
story.
Alabama breed. Like,
I got a Courtney Upshaw story. So I played against Courtney Upshaw in high school.
oh
I
wow,
was playing at center at the time. So I snapped the ball and the coach had me pull out to the outside. Soon I pull out to the outside. Here he comes like a dump truck. Bah! He flattened me. Like that started making me think twice about football, because I'm like, look, I'm not in it like this. I'm like, I wasn't that invested in football like that. But yes, I got laid out by Courtney Upshaw.
yeah. And then he translated in the NFL to be a defensive tackle. He put on a
Yep.
little weight and he got in those trenches. So
Yeah.
yeah, really big on Courtney Upshaw, and hopefully Yonze can be like that too.
Yeah, exactly. So next guy, wide receiver. This is a guy I'm high on. Perry Thompson. I think these
Yes,
dudes are
sir.
gonna be really well, really good. I think he's gonna be really good. We
Yeah,
said
I
that a
mean,
lot of.
this is.
Go ahead.
I'll keep going.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, this is he was one of our first commitments out of this
Mm-hmm.
class, but he's not one that Alabama's gonna. He's one that Alabama's gonna have to keep recruiting. The barn is making a heavy push
Yes.
for him. He just posted pictures from his visit there the other day. I think he has an official visit to Alabama over the summer, and I think he will be at A-Day in just 11 days. So it'd be good to have Perry back on campus. As we were talking earlier, Perry, when he was recruited, he was, I think, on some service wasn't even ranked, and now he's regarded as a 5-star talent according to 247. So,
Mm-hmm.
and Perry Thompson, he's got that Julio comp. He posted a video like the Julio height from when Julio was back there, and both Foley guys, both
Foley,
big
yep.
body receivers. Perry listed at 6'3", over 200 pounds. So a big physical receiver like Julio. Don't put those expectations on Julio, but I mean it's quite funny that Alabama's pulling in, has a commitment from one of the most physical big
Yep.
receivers in the country, and he goes to Foley High School in Alabama.
Yep. Yep.
And one more thing on him, like before every game last year, I go by the sidelines and by the gate and stuff, and the recruits would walk past every game. Perry was at nearly every game last year, so I know he was
Oh,
very solid last year. But he's getting a little more push from other schools as he's shot up the recruiting ranking. So Alabama, like I said earlier, Alabama's going to have to push for him. But yeah, I know he loves Alabama because he went to nearly every game, and they're not all official visits, so that's coming out of
yeah.
his pocket, his
Yep.
family's pocket to travel up to Alabama. And Foley and Tuscaloosa are a good distance apart. So I mean, I think he really likes Alabama. There's a reason he's still committed. He hasn't reopened his commitment. So yeah, I really like Perry Thompson.
Yeah, like you said, I'm kind of concerned about Auburn because Auburn is pushing for him. And after watching the A-Day game this past Saturday, I realized that is area they need to address is wide receiver. I know it was raining, but will Auburn have that selling point that you can possibly come to Auburn and play right away? It could be, one of the deciding factors of him flipping, because kids want to play right away most
Yeah,
of the time.
but I think the thing too is Foley's doing well in football. Like, do you want to go to a school? Where do you want to go? Do you want to go to a winning program? Because Hugh Freeze
Right.
will have to establish himself this year, and I think that's going to be very pivotal in how recruiting landscape changes in Alabama. Because once he starts getting big wins, he will reel in recruits from Alabama. Like, Alabama's going to lose some recruiting battles, and that's just the fact
Yeah,
of the matter. We've dominated over the years and landed a lot more. Like, I think if Hugh Freeze was probably there a little longer last year, they made that hire earlier, I think the Quay Russaw James Smith battle would have been a little more interesting, because I
yeah,
think Quay said something or James said something that they knew they were going to commit to Alabama back when Alabama played Vanderbilt, like third week of the year. But they waited to
wow,
make their decision, and just
yeah,
take in all the visits. And, so, he Freeze is going to have a big deal this season and trying to, show he can win there and develop talent over there.
yeah. I agree. So Mike Matthews, tell me about this guy because I'm not familiar with him at all. I like what I see on his highlights. That's the thing about highlights. Highlights make everybody look good, but he was kind of new to me when
Yeah.
I was looking this up.
Yeah, Mike Matthews. I don't think Alabama's in the driver's seat with him right now, but he recently took a visit to Alabama, and he's a Georgia guy. So goes to
Yeah,
Parkview in Wilburn, Georgia. So it's gonna be tough. Alabama's really done well in the last few years recruiting Georgia. We'll talk about a guy later that was also there recently. The same week was KJ Bolden. Alabama's done well getting guys like Caleb Downs, Justice Haynes, Dylan Lonergan. Those were three of the top players in Georgia last year.
mm-hmm.
But Alabama, I don't think we're going to take that many receivers because of how many we took in years past.
Yeah,
I think 2 cycles ago, we took 6. If you count
mm-hmm.
Emmanuel Henderson as a receiver, because that's where he's playing now.
Yeah,
Last year we took 3 or 4. So Alabama's got a lot of receivers on its roster, and they're going to have to be really picky on who they choose. Mike Matthews is one of them. You always have to look out for a Ryan Williams reclassification if he wants to jump up, because as we'll talk about him later, he is way beyond he's arguably the best player in the state of Alabama as a sophomore. So
wow,
he's arguably ready for college ball after this year. So I think Alabama's going to have an interesting year with receivers. Mike Matthews, I think Alabama's got a way to work, but certainly someone I think Alabama would like to take in this class.
okay. So what's this guy next to Arian Hampton?
Yes, Aaron Hampton. Yeah, so Aaron Hampton, Mike Matthews has a Rashad Bateman comp. Yeah, Aaron Hampton. It's been a really interesting recruiting battle for Hampton. He took a visit to Alabama a month or two ago, and then coming out of that visit, I heard he said that Alabama was in the driver's seat. You know, he's a slot guy. He was originally classified as an athlete, but I think he's shifted over fully to a wide receiver, and that's how teams are recruiting him now. But yeah, a slot type of guy that Alabama was looking for. I think LSU. He's recently stated that LSU's now in the front for his
Okay.
recruitment. So some room to work, but I know Alabama is high on him. He showed some glaring things and positivity about how he viewed Alabama's program. So that's always good because guys like Matthews, you wouldn't think Alabama's in the driver's seat, but when a guy comes off a visit saying Alabama's in the driver's seat, you know they were impressed by their visit and that Alabama can
Yeah.
easily captivate them in the months coming forward.
Okay. Like I said, with a lot of these dudes, I was just now hearing about them. And Ryan Williams, you said this is a dude. He's 2025. So you were saying sound like you were saying that he can possibly reclassify, maybe.
I think he's just that talented. It's whether he has the credits or not, or whatever.
Gotcha.
How his schooling works, I don't know how Sarah Land does it. But as far as uh, he could reclassify. Like Des Ricks was a junior last year, and I know IMG is
Yes.
different, but like you could tell he was ready because he was one of the best players in the country. You know, he's playing IMG for a couple years, and that's tough. It's a tough thing to do uh, as a junior, and then to start and then be able to reclassify and come to Alabama. And he's had a lot of glowing positive things. But Ryan Williams, like go watch on YouTube AJ Green's coverage of his playoff game. He's a YouTuber. I
Oh, I
think
know you're talking about. Yes.
I think against Hillcrest here in Tuscaloosa, I should have gone. I'm so mad I didn't go. I think he had 5 touchdowns. Uh, he had a few rushing, a few catching, and I think he also had a passing touchdown. Granted, he's not a quarterback or anything, but he is one of the most talented and dominant receivers Alabama's had. He's got track light speed too. I think he's maybe zero point 0.1 seconds behind what Henry Ruggs ran in the 100-meter dash as a senior when Ryan Williams is a sophomore right now in his sophomore year of track, which is ridiculous. So Ryan Williams, I mean, in the years that I really started following recruiting in 2015, and as a recruit, I'm probably as excited about Ryan Williams as any other recruit we've ever had, just because
Yeah.
of how ahead he is of the game, and that I honestly think he could come and challenge. I think he is as talented as a sophomore in high school. I think he could come and challenge for a starting spot in Alabama, just because of how ready he is. He is way beyond his years. I think there'd be some
Yeah.
technicalities to prove out, but Ryan Williams he's that guy, and he is highly revered in that South Alabama region.
That's
One of the
crazy.
best revered receiver prospects since Julio Jones.
That's crazy.
Hey,
That's
I
crazy.
see someone say 175 is small. Hey, they said Devontae Smith was too small and he won a Heisman. So, and that's who Ryan Williams has got comparisons to. I mean, he's got comparisons to a lot of other receivers. I think I've seen some Henry Ruggs just because of the speed, but Devontae Smith just because Ryan Williams is a seasoned prospect as a sophomore, and he's arguably should be the number one player in his class. But you know how recruiting rankings works; it's based off where they would probably go in a draft, and wide receivers typically do not go
Yeah.
first over.
170. Yeah. But exactly go back to what you were saying about Devontae Smith. Devontae Smith was, to me, he was small all through his college, but that didn't stop him from catching the ball any way he threw it to him on the field. Like that dude is
Yeah.
dominant, and if he has those comparisons, like I say about some of these recruits that get compared, if they can just come with just a little bit of that, and the kid's gonna be good. And hey, sophomore now, he's a sophomore now. It's a lot more time to put on some weight, and I guarantee you when he makes that crossover to college, that they're gonna put the weight on him as needed. I done seen kids put on like 30 pounds in like 3 weeks. I don't know how the heck they do it, but they put on major weight very fast. I done seen it.
Yeah, and if you look at guys like what's he listed on 247 right there? 175, 170?
I think he's 175,
Okay,
170. No,
Aaron Hampton, who's a year older than him, is 175. Perry's over 205, but Mike Matthews is only 180. So, like, that Alabama strength and conditioning, if they want to put weight on him, they can. But
Yeah,
I don't know if they want to mess with that speed, man,
yeah,
just because of how lethal he is. He led his team to a state championship, him and KJ Lacey, who Alabama's trying to go after, that quarterback in 2025. We'll talk. We got some time to recruit him, but Ryan Williams is committed to us since the A&M game, committed mid-game, which is unheard of. I randomly checked my phone during the game. It's like Ryan Williams committed to Alabama. 42 touchdowns last year, 42 touchdowns as a receiver.
crazy, man. That's crazy.
Woo. It's gonna be
So
special.
this next guy, I like this guy. I'm familiar with this guy, Jaden Riddell.
Yes, sir.
This guy, I like, and see, I like tight ends too, because they put me in the mind of offensive lineman, so I always like tight ends as well. But this guy, he has potential. Like only thing I see that he will have to get used to is playing with his hands in the dirt, and I don't think that'll be no problem for when he comes to Alabama because he doesn't do that as much. They like to stretch him out wide, use him like a receiver. Sometimes he sits in the slot position. He's just one of those big guys that creates the mismatch or whatever you put him at, man. So, what do you know about this guy?
Yeah, I think he's just the guy you're hearing the most smoke around with Alabama in a tight end this year. I'm around the belief that we should probably only maybe take one tight end this year because we've taken, golly, that one year we took Kitzelman out of JUCO, we took Black, we took Elijah Brown, we took Danny Lewis. So that was 4 guys 2 years ago. And last year we brought in Ty Lockwood, and now and CJ Dupree out of the portal. So I think if I had to choose, which it's up to Saban and I trust him, but I would be surprised if Alabama goes for more than one tight end just because of just because of the numbers we already have. We have 7 on scholarship right now. With I don't know if any are expected to leave. Yeah, but Jaden Riddell, 6'4", 230, so maybe could fill out a little bit. He could still grow. Not the tallest tight end, but certainly that Alabama likes and that Alabama will be trying to land because Alabama, that's what we're struggling with is landing like premier. Well, Black was a one, but we're not landing the top tight ends. Georgia has landed the number 1 guy for about 5 years straight. And like they're getting guys they're probably recruiting the number 1 7th grader right now, and they're probably going to land him in a year just because of how established Georgia tight ends are going to be. And I think that'll be interesting this year. I think Jaden Riddell and maybe other guys at the position, Caleb Odom's another guy Alabama's looked at. They'll want to see how Alabama's offense and tight ends look under Tommy Rees. And I think how we use tight ends will be pivotal in landing a guy like Jaden Riddell, who is, highly revered as a tight end prospect.
Yeah. I like him. 6'4", 233. Okay, decent, but yeah. So let's talk about this guy, offensive lineman, Daniel Calhoun.
Yes, sir.
Big guy. He's 6'6", 355. He's somebody that can come in right now, and I feel like can play. I know with offensive lineman that I tell anybody that is a developmental spot. I'm not saying he can, but with that size, he will be looked at. He will be highly looked at.
Yeah, and that's really what Alabama's looking for under Eric Wolford, like real big offensive lineman, another Georgia guy that Alabama's going to have to go out and recruit, this tight end class, though, there's not that many elite prospects as maybe last year. Caden Proctor last year, Francis Magoa, Samson Akonoa, all 5 stars. I don't know if there's many 5 stars this year, but Daniel Calhoun's one of the ones that I've seen Alabama recruit most, and I'm sure Alabama will be trying to get him because we don't have any linemen committed as far as the 2024 class. So that'll be a position we're going to try to get players at and establish this new brand of big physical linemen like the Olouses, the Caden Proctors, the Wilkin Formbys, the Miles McVeighs, just guys that are physical, tall, and athletic. And I think that's really the next stage of Alabama offensive line recruiting.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Like I said, what I noticed is this size, and I'm pretty sure he bullying people in high school with that size easy. But this next
Oh
guy,
God.
this next guy, I've seen his highlights because he just committed like a week ago. I want to say Mason Short. This dude is a bully. This dude he's unfair to college football. I say
Yeah,
he's
it's
I mean the high
it's
school
unfair.
football.
Yeah, 6'7" as a sophomore. I don't think I've heard of that ever. So, Mason Short, 2025 guy. So like you said, he's only a sophomore in high school. Um, I don't think his program's that good. So I wonder if he'll transfer to a bigger school if he's being, recruited and poached by
Yeah,
bigger Georgia schools. May do him well to find a bigger school to go to. But yeah, Mason Short kind of came out of nowhere. I don't think he was planning to commit, but I think fresh off a visit to Alabama, really opens your eyes. And I think that's really what was about him. That picture with Nick Saban, he's towering over him. So,
yeah,
yeah, babyface Hulk. Yeah. Mason Short. Yeah. Just a physical specimen is all I can really say about Mason Short. Glad we have him on board. Glad we
yes,
have him on
yes,
board.
sir, yes, sir. So what I like this edge spot, this edge position. I think we have some talent that we're looking at this spot, and hopefully we can land one of these dudes. But you can talk about him, and because I seen a little bit of highlights. Like I said, these dudes they all look good in high school in their highlights, but I really like Edric Hill. But what do you know about this guy right here?
Yeah, Dylan Stewart. I mean, the first time he really popped out, I saw On3 ranked him as the number one player according to their service. So they obviously like him. He recently came into town, and we'll talk about Edric Houston later. But they both drawn like comparisons, which is going to open these guys' minds up to Will Anderson. That's how Alabama wants to view these guys. Dylan Stewart more. He's 6'5", almost 6'6", and he's known for his ability to drop back in coverage, which is what Will surprisingly lacked. The only thing really Will lacked in his game. But yeah, Dylan Stewart, he's in the DC area. I think it's he's coming off a Penn State visit, so he's going to have those Big Ten teams recruiting him. Ohio State's another one in his recruitment. I think a long way to go. I don't think he set a commitment date or there's a clear leader for his commitment. So Alabama's got a way to go for him, but someone Alabama would certainly like to get.
Yeah, I actually see South Carolina. He's warm on Alabama, South Carolina,
Yeah, South
and
Carolina's another one I've seen around him too.
yeah,
They pulled some big recruits in South Carolina. Nicholas Harbor last year.
yeah.
Um, so
I know it's off the track. Nicholas Harbor. Do you think he can come in and push for some playing time at South Carolina?
what position are they playing him at?
I think I want to say tight end.
Tight end. Yeah, I saw he was listed as an athlete, so I didn't know if they're going to have him at edge or what. Can't remember what he played in the All American game, but yeah, someone like that. I mean, if South Carolina is going to land a 5-star, could come in and change the program. That type of talent. So, yeah. I think Nicholas Harbor has a very good chance of playing South Carolina
because I think South Carolina I think one their best tight end hit the portal. I think I'm not sure who he landed up, but I think
I had that guy in fantasy last year. I can't remember his name, but he was he was a big dude. Forgot where he went though.
But this is the guy. Edric Houston. I like this dude, man. I like this dude. I'm really hoping. Actually, I hope we can land both of these guys, but I know more about Edric Hill. I mean Houston. I don't know why I keep want to say Houston because I've been keeping up with him for a while now.
Yeah, just another one of those Buford guys. Alabama trying to turn Buford into like the IMG pipeline because Buford's probably is probably turning out more prospects than any other school in Georgia. Alabama's got Isaiah Bond, they've got Justice Haynes, they've got Jake Pope went to Buford. So A lot
Yeah.
of talent out there. Edric Houston certainly one of them. His teammate KJ Bolden, like I referenced earlier, also goes to Buford. Yeah, so he came in there. He's a little bit bigger, so he's around 260 right now. So like
Hmm.
whether he turns into a edge or loses some weight and turns into an edge or
On
adds some
deal.
weight and becomes a defensive lineman, it'll be interesting. But yeah, I mean, Georgia will be a tough one to beat for his commitment. I think he praised both Alabama and Georgia's competitive nature in the practices he's been from his visit. So yeah, Edric would be a certain big get for Alabama, whether he's an edge or not, and that opens room for Dylan to come in if you're going to play Edric at defensive line. Just really depends on how his body changes and how much if he gains or loses weight. I think.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Man, it's so funny how this recruiting stuff work because you hear some players that be like, I'm not worried about who commits, but a lot of these players they do look at who's committing and like because if he commits, I'm probably not gonna go there because he's gonna be favored. Like that stuff worries. But what you just said is it depends on what they decide they want to do with him because it can depend on the other guy because if they decide to keep the weight on him and boost his weight a little bit and come a D lineman, that makes it a I'm not gonna say a no brainer, but it makes it easier for him to want to come to Alabama.
Yeah, and what's interesting too about him is like Jordan Renaud was listed as an edge last year,
Hmm.
and he was only at 240. So Houston's got about 15 pounds on him, and Renaud's going to play defensive line at Alabama. So I think Houston certainly has the intangibles. I mean, if you look at him, he's a big boy. So like, I certainly think if he wants to go up, he can certainly play. Go play defensive line if he wants to gain weight because we've seen Jordan Renaud do it, but he also can
Yeah,
lose weight and play more physical type of outside backer.
got you. So the next guy on the list, Jeremiah Beeman,
Yes, sir. You
D
know,
line, defensive line.
yeah, he's not the biggest guy right now, 6'4", 250. But save Alabama, it's gonna be big to keep these guys in state. It's not as good of a class as last year. Last year's class from state of Alabama was unreal. I mean, from top to bottom,
Yeah,
tons of prospects going to Michigan State, going to Alabama, going to the barn, going to Clemson, Christopher Rosina. Um, you also had that corner that went to Georgia, Harris. So that was
yeah,
last year, but now Save Alabama is not as much talent, which last year was a generational class. Perry's headlining the class. DeMarcus Riddick we'll talk about later. Cam Coleman. It's a very good class, and I think Alabama's really keep showing why they're one of the best high school states. But yeah, Parker High School and in the Birmingham area. I saw today Jalen Mbakwe's vying for his commitment, trying to
yeah,
recruit him. So uh, I think he will be a bit of a project, put some weight on because they're recruiting him to play defensive line. Uh, yeah, but Jeremiah Beam and someone Saban, I think, has a lot of interest in bringing into
yeah,
this class. One of the names you hear more out of from the defensive line.
yeah. I've been hearing about him. I've been hearing about this guy right here. Another guy that I like too. The next guy, DeMarcus Reddick. I like him, man. I like him a lot.
Yeah, it reminds me of kind of a few years ago, but it's kind of the flip situation. Robert Woodyard was
Yeah,
committed to Alabama forever, but you started to hear less and less about him, like in his relationship with Alabama, and he ended up flipping on signing day to the barn. Demarcus Riddick been in Tuscaloosa a bunch, and I think he earned an offer around January, so that really opened his eyes. Alabama's shown they can flip guys from Georgia once they get an offer. Rob Montgomery got it last year. So Demarcus Riddick, yeah, he's one of the premier inside linebackers from the state. Would be a very, very big gift. He's one, and two of the he's one of the two best inside linebackers in the state,
hmm
amongst Erwin Dixon, who we'll talk about in a bit, who is committed. But yeah, I think Riddick right now isn't poised to flip right now, but I think Alabama is certainly the one. If he were to flip today, it would be to Alabama. But I don't think he is on the verge of uh,
yeah,
changing his commitment right now.
Hey man, I was looking at Georgia recruiting class so far. Them dudes are killing it right now, man.
Yeah, fresh off two national championships,
Yeah,
like you're showing you compete with Alabama. I don't agree with David Pollock saying Georgia's the top team in college football
nah,
because Saban's done it for so long, and Saban doesn't go 3 years without a title. So Saban's still that guy. Saban's still that
yeah,
guy. But I think guys are liking what they're seeing at Georgia, just because of how proven they are, and they're winning with guys like Lad McCourkey and Stetson Bennett, who aren't the most
yeah.
athletic, but their system works, and that's what
Hmm.
players want to see: is the system that helps them to get to the next level and that can help them win. And that's all
Yeah,
guys want to do at the end of the day. And that's why guys like DeMarcus Riddick committed early to Georgia. Um, they got 2025 linebacker from Buford. Uh, they're getting all these tight ends. The number one tight end this year, the number one tight end next year. So, yeah. So, it's going to be Georgia's going to – I would predict Georgia finishes with the number one class this year. I think we may be a slight second right
yeah.
behind them. I still think we can get the number one class if we can get some big guys like
Oh
Bolden,
yeah.
Houston, keep Mbakwe, Perry. Perry shoots up the rankings even more. I think we're bound to have a good class this year.
And I think aren't we currently at 17 right now? I think.
I've seen where it depends what service you look at. I think we're at 2 right now.
Oh wow. Okay.
I think Ohio State's pushing up, but let me look at that. I think it just depends on what service you look at.
Okay. That's one thing confusing about this recruiting stuff to me. Sometimes it's like, you see a dude 5 star, you see a 5 star, then you look at this recruiting site, he's a 4 star, and look at another. So what On3 does, right? They put all this together, then they come together with one recruit, right? Because they look at all the recruiting sites, right?
Yeah, they have their own individual rankings, and then they have, I think, a weighted base system where they take the average out of. But yeah, like I think like 247, they do like it. A lot of it plays with the factor how many commitments you have. Like Alabama's only got 4 commitments right now for 2024. Ohio
Yeah,
State's got 10 and the same amount of 5 stars. So I can understand why they'd be ahead of us right now. Florida's doing well. Michigan's got 11 commits. Notre Dame 9. Tennessee's 8. So I mean, I can see why we're in 17-1 just because we only have 4. But the 4 players we do have in 2024, Mbakwe, Perry,
yeah,
Sterling Dixon, and who's the other one? Sayin, the main
yeah.
guy, Julian Sayin. Like those are elite guys, some of the elite prospects, all top 150 prospects in the country. So
And and that's what I was trying to tell people last year. Alabama fans tend to start panicking. I think now they're starting to understand how the recruiting goes. But I was telling people before we was even a top 10, I said, look at the recruiting ranking, like the number. I said I said the reason why these teams are over us because they have more recruits. I said, but look at basically the ranking, the average. I said our number is better than some of these dudes. Some of these teams is up there. I said, you see, when we get one recruit, we jump up so many spots tremendously. I said because it's the recruiting ranking,
yeah, Alabama's going out of
the average.
the best of the best guys.
Yeah.
Rarely see us going after 3-star players. If they do, Alabama sees something in them. Like Quentin Williams was a 3-star out of high school.
Yes.
They saw something in him, and then he turned into the number 3 overall pick. So,
Yep. So this is another dude I like too, Sterling Dixon. He's somebody that committed very early in this recruiting process, and I think he's firm. As of right now, I think he's really firm on his commit. I haven't heard anything otherwise, but I think he really likes Alabama a lot.
yeah, I think the barn is going after him just because they're trying to get those in-state guys and establish him. But I think he is. I'm pretty confident he will end up in our class. Because when he committed, he was looking at schools like LSU and the barn, and so like they've been vowing for his commitment for a while. But he chose Alabama for a reason. I think he sees how he can be utilized in the system. Very athletic guy. Played safety and early on in high school, and now it's translated to a linebacker. So I think his versatility is really highly valued by the staff. Mobile Christian School, same school as Deontay Lawson.
Yeah,
So, um, I think him and Deontay are good friends. So I think stuff like that, when you're hearing a guy you went to high school keep
yeah.
pounding you with positive information, and Lawson came in and started A-Day as a freshman, and now he's going to be Alabama's signal caller this year, most likely. So really, that Sterling Dixon has someone like Deontay, to lean on and help him through this commitment process that he can relate to.
Okay, okay. Another guy, Jalen Mbakwe, cornerback. What type of what do you think about this guy?
Oh, Jalen's almost like flown under the radar, like Perry. He was at almost every game last year. That Clay Chalkville pipeline. Alabama's getting a lot more players from there. DJ Dale went there. Alabama's recruiting Mario Craver at receiver. Don't know if Mario is going to land with Alabama, but Mbakwe is one of the most talented players in the country. He's one of the best punt returners in the country. I think he underwent surgery later in his senior season, but I think he's back to full health as he's been running track. This is what's so interesting. Mbakwe, Perry Thompson, and Ryan Williams all compete against each other in track because they're
Who?
all that 6A, 7A. So I feel bad for those guys that are like those other guys that have run track all their life, and now they're running against Alabama commits, skill positions that are just blowing them out of the water because like Jalen Mbakwe's got track speed. He's listed as an athlete on some sorts, but he
I
will
was
play
say because I think he played wide receiver as well.
Yeah, he's going to play cornerback at Alabama. He's being
Yeah.
recruited as cornerback. So, yeah, Mbakwe is just like someone I'm really high on. He's kind of flown under the radar. I think Alabama's we've become quite confident in his commitment that, you like getting guys late in the cycle because the hype's still there.
Yeah.
Mbakwe's been firm with Alabama for a while, and you need guys like that. Like, I know Jeremiah decommitted a few years ago for a brief bit, but guys like him and Emmanuel Henderson are pivotal to the class expanding. When you get a big guy like Mbakwe early on, they're like, okay, we want to follow this guy because he's one of the top guys in the country.
Yeah.
And it's big to get a cornerback early because, we're quite low on cornerbacks right now. Desmond Ricks and Jaleel Hurley will have a chance to be with the twos this year. Straight as a freshman, which is, not normal. Antonio Kite worked with the ones on A-Day. Not on A-Day, but the first scrimmage because Kool-Aid was out. So, there's chances at corner. So, I think Mbakwe really has the talent. Best player in the state of Alabama this year. So, Alabama, I think we're in a very good shape with Mbakwe.
Okay.
To keep him in the class.
There's a guy, last on the list, safety. I know a lot about this kid, KJ Baldwin.
Yeah, that Georgia.
Yeah.
Golly. Well, Buford's just pumping out too many prospects.
Yes.
It's crazy. And the state of Georgia, too, that they're going to have the number one safety likely for back-to-back years. And if Alabama can land him and Caleb Downs in back-to-back years out of Kirby's backyard, oh, my gosh. Saving 71 and still doing it.
Still doing it. That's why I say, to a lot of football, you can't truly call yourself a football fan or follow football and say with a straight face that Alabama is gone, Alabama is over. You can't say that. You can't truly say that if you've been following college football for the past 10 years, even 5 years, you can't say that.
Yeah, I wrote an article about it for Tide 100.9. Alabama put someone on KJ's hip just to recruit him a little extra, and that's Patrick Surtain. Like Surtain, KJ Bolden is probably leading to go to another school right now. Georgia's probably the favorite right now. He's been on a lot of visits, so I don't think he's even trimmed down his top 10. So
yeah.
I still think Alabama's pushing for him. I think he plays both sides, but I think Alabama will want him to play safety. But yeah, KJ is just one of those premier guys that you'll want to land. And, like I said about Surtain, LSU was pretty confident to land him a few years ago, and then they didn't.
Yeah.
Georgia, I think, will be confident in landing KJ, and hopefully Alabama can come in and land him because he's one of those top guys. And just like when Alabama brings these guys and they have that jersey wall, with all the first round picks. And when those recruits take a picture with it, they're like, this is what I can be. And they see Patrick Surtain at practice. They're like, okay, that's a 5-star defensive back that came here, trusted the process, and now he's one of the best players in the league. So really, like Saban getting like Surtain to come back and then, taking a picture with Bolden, I'm sure means a lot,
Yeah.
And his commitment, just seeing that high-profile guy care about you and want the best for you and want you to come to Alabama.
Yeah. Yeah. So right now, we have a lot of dudes that's about to visit, and I know, like, I tell people, it's not Alabama just offers the. I'm pretty sure if they were just doing blind offers, we'll be up there right now. But we like to get these kids on campus and evaluate these players. That's why our process takes so long, and you'll hear around like late during the summer part, start hearing us trending upwards because we do evaluations with these kids, and that's what I like about the way Coach Saban does it. He just doesn't offer a kid because he's the 5-star, 4-star, or whatever. He wants to get him in house. Can he really work with our system that we try to do? Can we work with him? Can we tweak some things? Is he a coachable guy? Like, he looks at all those things. So that's why we land top 3 every year, mostly top 2.
Yeah, and we talked about how many of these guys have been here, and it's going to be big. A-Day's coming up, and like guys, I think Perry Thompson went to the Barnes, their spring game, and they didn't have great fan turnout. Granted, the weather was pretty bad.
Hey, I seen somewhere where they reported 16,000 people there. I watched it. It don't look like 16.
There's about 400.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, Alabama had a pretty bad attendance last year because the weather was pretty bad, and I mean, I went, but it wasn't. It obviously wasn't what you want out of an A-Day game. But I heard their offense didn't run well, so I think it's going to be important for guys like Perry to reassure his commitment. I think Ryan said he's going to be there. Daniel Calhoun, who we talked about earlier, is going to be there. DeMarcus Riddick keeps coming back to Tuscaloosa, so that's something Alabama can be confident in. And yeah, so some big weeks coming ahead before summer kicks off, and camp start running. That's going to be the next part of Alabama, just evaluating some of these prospects more. Because Alabama's got to fill out a 20-man class, and we got 16, 17, 18, 20 more names to go. So,
yeah. So I'm going to ask you about have you heard anything else about Tony Mitchell? Like, I know he's still suspended indefinitely, whatever, but do you think he will return is what I'm asking.
I think it really boils down to the legal process. I haven't heard if how serious the state of Florida is going to treat it. I haven't heard what the next steps are in that. So I think that's really the first thing. I know Saban doesn't take it lightly. Stuff like this,
Yeah.
I mean, it's quite crazy. I mean, the first few years of Saban's era, there were some serious discipline problems. Like, a lot of players were getting arrested and stuff. And over the last several years, bar a few, like I think Quindarius, now Tony, Max, freshman DUI, there's really been very few arrests on the team. I think Saban's really harped in the importance of behaving yourself off the field and taking care of yourself. Because guys want to make the NFL, and stuff like this can really hurt it. And Tony certainly, especially if he got that gun charge and it wasn't his friend, like, his career probably would have been over. But, right now he's indefinitely suspended. If I had to suspect, and this is just, I think Saban's going to make a lesson out of it. I don't know if Tony would have played. I think he would have had a chance to compete for a star position or a safety position. I do not expect him to play this year, just because the factoring in the legal system, and then also just making sure the players understand around the team that you can't behave like this, and you got to make smart decisions, especially on spring break. And this kid should be in high school. Like, I mean, he enrolled early, but he should still be at the end of his high school season, high school year at Thompson. So,
and this is what I was saying. Though, I believe everybody deserves second chances, but that doesn't mean there shouldn't be a consequence along with their second chance. And this is the perfect time for Coach Saban to make an example for everybody else. Like this is not the bandit standard. We want to win national championships. One of my goals here is developing you from a young man, from a boy to a young man, and I had to show I love you. This is why I'm doing this to you. You know. So yes, you're exactly right about that.
Yeah, I think everyone liked Tony. I mean, he had tumultuous recruitment. I mean, went up and
Yeah.
down to the last day. Like, if you've ever heard the Bojangles story where he told a reporter he's going to meet there and take pictures for the barn, told every school he was going to commit to them, and ended up committing to Alabama. So, Tony's, was Tony's always been like a joker. Like, he's a wild card. Like, I think Alabama. I think the next step for him is just really getting him in check and making sure
Yeah.
he is glued into the process, and making sure he doesn't make a mistake like this again. Because I'd love to have him play. You don't win 3 state championships as a starter
No.
for no
Yes.
reason. Like him and Peter Woods, like
Hmm.
dominated the state of Alabama for several years for a reason, and there's a reason Thompson is the best uh, not college, high school program in the state. So.
Yeah. Hey, that Peter Woods commit hurt. It hurt my feelings. That Peter Woods commit to Clemson hurt my feelings. It put me in the mind of when Justin Ross committed to Clemson.
Oh yeah, that one hurt me too.
Yeah.
Other than I'll tell you the one commitment that hurt me the most, and it wasn't because I thought we were going to get him, but I remember at one game I saw Darnell Washington walk by, and I had followed his recruitment, and like just seeing him in person, like how tall he was, I was like, "That's a tight end right there. Get
That's a
him."
basketball
And
player.
then he was backing up for Georgia. I know he's going to be like a likely first round or maybe second round, early second pick, but like I was like, golly, he would have done wonders for us.
Oh man. Oh man. Yes, he would have. And I still feel like Georgia didn't I feel like they didn't utilize him all the way. They utilized him more last year, but I don't
Hey,
know.
they have the best. They arguably have the best player in college football right now in Brock Bowers. So, like,
Yeah, that's true. That's
I
true.
mean, like he's probably the best tight end. Like I've watched since I started watching college football. Just like he just makes it look easy, and like
Yeah.
that's a bona fide NFL pro. I think he could go. I think he could have gone to the NFL and competed for a starting job after his freshman season at Georgia. I think he is that talented
Yeah.
of a guy.
Especially the way NFL use tight ends. Like
Yeah.
I tell my son, I said, honestly, sir, son, I said, tight ends are the new wide receiver, man.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah.
that's the way that's what he wants to play, tight end and middle linebacker. And I said it on the show that we did on the CTS Sports Room. I was telling him, I said, honestly, my son, he wants to play tight end. I said, honestly, if he wants to play tight end and he asked for my suggestion about the school, I said, honestly, I'll probably send him to Georgia right now.
Ooh, yeah. The way they're developing tight ends, Alabama's pushed out Irv Smith and OJ Howard, but
Yeah,
they haven't pushed out that premier tight end, which is tough, because tight end. I think development of tight ends is really big, and like not all the number one guys in any position, but especially tight end, turn out to be
yeah.
the top tight end drafted. So
Another player I want to ask you about. Have you been hearing about anything about Desmond Ricks during the spring?
yeah, I heard just from various stuff. Like I heard he had a pretty good spring outing. A lot of opportunity because Kool-Aid was out, and Kite was running with the ones. So he's a young guy too. I think he's 18, maybe even 17. But yeah. I think Desmond Brooks is going to be. I think he's going to have a chance. Depends how next year works because I think Kool-Aid's gone, but I think if Terrian dramatically improves, I just think with his flexibility, being able to possibly play star because they've been working him there, and he's played safety in high school. I think Terrian could leave if he has a good enough year. I don't think he will, but I think next year opens a spot for Desmond, opens a spot for Jaleel, opens a spot for Mbakwe, that they could come in and play and start next year, and that's really what you want.
I'm really high on Earl Little Jr., man, because I remember last season towards towards like the end of the season, I was reading stuff that I was
They're
reading
trolling
stuff.
you. They're trolling you.
Yeah, I see it. One man Tom Reed.
He said he clipped it. He said he clipped you.
Yeah, I seen him when he said it that last minute. Hey, it's already on the record. I said it on CTS Sports Room. I got it a little bit from them when they said it. So, but I'm all about my kid going somewhere, hey, and getting the best. But he's so much of an Alabama fan, he'll probably think I was crazy if I would have suggested to him. So,
Yeah, as you were saying, Earl Little, been working with the ones at Star.
yeah,
Um, you can see that from photos. But
yeah,
that's just also reports coming out of the scrimmage that Earl's been working with the ones. It was whether Taryn was going to move to Star or Little was going to move to corner, but it's going to be Little at Star most likely, which I'm pretty confident in. I think
yeah,
that American heritage there in Florida, it's turned out Dallas, but they tune out prospects
yeah.
there
That's what
in
they do
Florida,
down there.
and he's one of them. He wasn't a 5-star, but I mean, I remember when Ricks declared for the draft. I think he put out a tweet or an Instagram post, and it was like my turn now. So he's like, and we didn't see much of him last year. So like, I think he's going to be the. I think he's really going to have an opportunity to show what he's got at Star. Because we're a little bit of a younger room. But I
Yeah,
really trust Tavares' development of all of the defensive backs.
yeah. One more guy I want to ask you about. One guy I will hope to see him on the field, get some good playing time. Christian Story. Christian Story.
Yeah, sounds familiar with the Georgia guys. You and Sutton really like Christian Story. Uh, I just don't know. He's a senior right now, but what worries me uh, about Christian is, and this is no fault of his own, but when Caleb Downs is working with the ones in the third or fourth practice,
Yeah,
and Story's been there as in his fourth year.
yeah,
And Malachi, who hasn't played safety in college much, I know he worked at safety, but he backed up Battle last year at Strong. No really vast experience, but Malachi played Star.
yeah,
But Downs and Malachi look like they're solidified as of now, the safety duo. So I think Christian, I think he could. I think Sutton's mentioned money. I don't know where they'd want him to play. I think there is a place for him to play. If we show lapses in that back end, I think Christian will be the first one in. I think him and Devontae Smith will be the
yeah,
really backup safeties to go to. But I just don't know about Christian's story.
yeah. Right. But yeah, like really good athlete in high school, but came from a 1A school. Came from a 1A school, so the work had to be there. No doubt that he can compete, but
His
when you get
brother's at Clemson too, isn't he? Caden. I think that's his
uh
name.
I think so. I think
I
so.
think he's committed to the barn, but I think he switched on to Clemson waiving his commitment.
Yeah, but yeah. Just having to face these 4 and 5 star kids that come from these high profile schools is it's tough. It's tough. I
Yeah.
just I hope he sticks with it. Whatever he does, I support. I was a big fan of the kid when he was in high school. So wherever he does, he'll be successful. His dad is a coach, whatever, big time coach. That's who coached him in high school. So he has a good team beside him. So he'll be okay.
Yeah, and I think Malachi, but I mean, if he can really, at least if he's not playing, he can help those younger guys develop. That's
Yes,
what I can
yes,
take out of it. I know Devontae's been there for a bit, but he doesn't have the experience. Story's got into games. He's been in practice. No, this is fourth
yeah,
year. So he's been there. Malachi's worked at Star. Hasn't worked that much at safety. So Story probably has worked the most out of any player in that secondary right now. You got young guys, Bryson Hubbard, Jake Pope. Depends where they have Fagans playing, if they've moved him to safety.
ooh,
Um, Yeah, it's whether he plays star corner or safety. I really don't know where they're having him play. Same with Jaquez Robinson. I don't know. I've seen both for uh,
I forgot
either
about
guy.
Jaquez Robinson on yeah. He's somebody that got playing time some last year, like towards the end of the games and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, so Bryson Hubbard, let's talk about him. This is the last question. Do you think with him playing quarterback in high school in Mississippi, do you think he can come in on offense like for I'm gonna say like if they would have run like a wildcat type package or something, somebody that can speedy can run it or possibly throw it because he has that quarterback experience.
I mean,
Just just
I, I don't want to pound on the joke, but I mean, we have a speedster that we could treat in a wildcat position at quarterback.
that's true.
Miller,
That's true.
we don't really need a wildcat, but I mean,
That's true.
he did play for Team Mississippi State, Mississippi in the Alabama Mississippi All Star game, and Yonze Pierre lit him up like Bama on Bama crime. We talk about the NFL. Yonze Pierre lit him up and forced a fumble. He was. I mean, I know he's an athlete because he's committed to Southern Miss for baseball. I haven't heard much about him in the draft. I know Lonergan also played baseball, and there's been rumors about him with the draft. So I don't think either guy will leave. But I think Bryson's. I think the Alabama really liked him at safety. I know he's real fast from what I've heard.
Yeah.
He didn't play safety much, but Alabama saw him in camp, and then he started playing safety in high school because that's just where Alabama saw him, and his recruitment really ranking shot up in his senior year of high school, and I think in a few years may have a chance to play at Alabama.
Yeah, we'll see on that, but guys, this was the first recruiting live show. Hopefully, we'll be doing a lot more with this, keeping y'all updated with his recruiting. Hey, if y'all on here, go to CTS Sports Room. In 30 minutes, they're about to go live on the CTS Sports Room, rolling with the tide. If you'd like to hit talking junk, having fun, talking football, that's the place to go. CTS Sports Room. So go check that out in 30 minutes. Josh, hey, thank you, my man.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. I love it. I really appreciate you, man. You and Sutton, man. Thank y'all very much. So, y'all, thank y'all for tuning in. Roll Tide. We out.